Hello, it's Jeta, and today I just thought we'd have a little chat about my reflections on year 12. If you're looking for a more advice-orientated video, then this is not the video for you. I will be uploading a sort of year 12 tips video sometime in August, so do look out for that. But this is just more my personal reflections on year 12 and just letting you guys in a little bit on what's been going on this year for me, because I haven't posted very much this year, and so yeah, basically I just wanted a little catch up. I do have some tea with me though. I've got my beautiful Alice in Wonderland teacup, and I have got the Bird and Blend strawberry Nutella pancake tea. I actually might be allergic to strawberries. This is a very new thing, but every time I eat strawberries, my eyes water and my mouth just feels very tingly and strange, and yeah, so I'm just sort of trying not to eat strawberries for now, just to see what's going on. But this tea is so good that I can't resist, and I don't, it's not really, I'm not eating a full-on strawberry, so I feel like it'll be fine. It's also just very good. I've also got some milk in a little jar because this tea goes really well with milk. And let's give it a little taste. Oh, it's so good. Literally, this tea is amazing. Okay, anyway, I thought I would sort of start off with the academic side of things, reflecting on year 12 as an academic year, and then I'll talk about more personal reflections of how this year's been for me on an individual level. So academically, the jump from GCSEs to A-levels has not been as big as expected. I thought it would be like this huge jump where I would be struggling at the beginning and doing really, really badly, and it wasn't. I think A-levels are very hyped up to be this like extremely challenging 2 years of your life where you're really going to struggle. Year 12 wasn't that at all. Starting off with English, I found it pretty easy this year. Yeah, I just really enjoyed English. I mean, obviously in the beginning, I wasn't used to the workload. Like, we would get an essay, like an 1,000-word essay a week. But I got used to it so quickly, and I honestly kind of even enjoyed writing those essays. And I also did my coursework, which was a huge thing to get out of the way. English coursework was just so fun. Like, we had 4 books and we could choose the 2 books that we wanted to write on. You could even write your own question, which I did do, and it was so satisfying almost to be able to write an essay where you sort of pick the content. You didn't only have to write about language, you could write about structure, form. I talked a lot about the different editions of books, and it was just so fun, and English was great. I really loved English this year. History, I did find quite difficult at the beginning of the year. I don't think it was that history got harder. I think it's just that I knew very little about the topics that we were doing, specifically the Wars of the Roses, and the essays did get harder. But sort of by the end of the year, I am feeling quite confident now with history. Like, I'm feeling comfortable with how the essays are structured, and I think I'm in a good place for year 13. So history's also fine. Psychology was pretty easy at the beginning, I think because you start off with the easier topics, but definitely got harder by the end. The topics which are biology heavy are definitely harder to understand, but no subject has been unmanageable. Everything's been pretty much okay. I also did my EPQ this year, and it's done, which is, it's a huge weight off my shoulders. EPQ definitely feels like a 4th A-level in year 12. The only difference is that you don't continue it into year 13, but it definitely felt like I was doing 4 A-levels this year, because especially around the time where I had to research and write my EPQ, it took up so much of my time. But I will be making a video about the EPQ, in fact probably multiple videos, so do look out for that. But yeah, I think academically year 12 wasn't too hard. I think it's definitely going to get harder next year. I think that the jump between year 12 and year 13 is the big one. Like, even teachers are sort of saying, like, the topics get harder, the content gets harder, which I understand, and I feel like that's probably the case, but I'm not making it a big deal in my head, like I did last year, because that was not helpful at all. But yeah, that's the academic side. I'm going to move on to the personal reflections now. So this year was really hard for me. Not academically, as I've already established. Mental health wise, it was bad. I think that this year was actually the hardest year of my life. I struggled a lot. And no one really knew, apart from my mum, how much I was struggling. Not because I wanted to hide it, I just don't think I realised even myself that I was struggling for a really long time. On YouTube you see such a small part of my life, and I'm not going to share everything, and so it's impossible for you guys to know unless I sort of sit down and tell you. But I am going to sit down and tell you guys, because if anyone else is feeling like they're struggling, I don't want you to feel alone. And also I think it can be so easy to think I have this perfect life, because I do filter what I share. That's just the nature of social media. I want to be vulnerable, I want to be real, and obviously I'm only talking about it now that I've surpassed that struggle, but now is the only time I feel comfortable with sharing that, so I think that's also pretty valid. Yeah, so it kind of started before year 12 even began, probably about 10 days before starting sixth form. I had a massive panic attack. I've never had a worse panic attack in my life. It lasted about 5 days. Like, I was so anxious. I didn't want to leave my bed. I didn't want to move. And I didn't even, like, I feel like I didn't sleep for about 2 or 3 days as well. It was very much just like a physical anxiety thing. Reflecting on it now, it was just a multitude of things that had built up which caused this. I think I was really worried about A-levels, and I don't think that the hype around A-levels helped me at all. And I think, you know, with back to school approaching, it just sort of very much got to me. I've also mentioned that I have health anxiety in the past on the channel, and obviously my kitten passed away over the summer. Miffy got very ill and then died. But experiencing him being ill was also very difficult for me, and so I think that also just sort of heightened everything. I was already very tense and very preoccupied with illness at the time, and so I think it just, everything together led to just this massive panic attack. Obviously also I had done GCSEs just 2 months ago before that, and so, you know, the stress levels were already high. I was in denial. I was thinking, this has come out of the blue. It didn't come out of the blue. There were reasons for why you had that massive panic attack, and so yeah, I got through it though, with the help of my mum and just breathing techniques, meditation, yoga, just doing everything under the sun. And I was fine. I was fine. And I continued. I went to school in September, and the beginning of sixth form was good. Looking back, I was happy. I was excited. I obviously met a lot of new people because new people had joined in sixth form, which I really enjoyed. Like, I really liked meeting people and sort of changing the dynamics at school. Also, my secondary school, from year 7 to 11 is a girls' school, and so going into sixth form it was then mixed, which I also quite liked. I do actually prefer it being mixed at the moment. I think I liked it being a girls' school until year 11, but I feel like now maturity levels have mostly equalized across everyone. But yeah, the dynamic was slightly different. My two best friends both left. They went abroad for like a year in like a boarding school, basically a sort of a gap year. One of them, Freya, has come back and she is going to join the school again next year, which I'm so happy about. But I did have to do school without my two best friends. I obviously had other friends and made new friends, but it was something that I also had to navigate. So obviously it was difficult, that side of things as well. A lot of friends also went to different schools, so just everything was changing. It was exciting, but obviously it was also scary. So yeah, things in September, October were pretty fine. I was just sort of trying to get used to sixth form, and I did pretty quickly. But after I sort of got settled into sixth form, my family found out that my grandma had cancer, and she then passed away in January. It was really difficult, obviously. I was very close with my grandma, and it was very sudden, and it was very difficult to go through. Losing someone you love is so painful, and yeah, it was just really hard for my entire family. And it was also really hard because she was ill, and so my health anxiety was just sky high, and I was really struggling around that time. Sort of December, January, February was probably the worst of it. I was just anxious every single day. At school I would have panic attacks. No one actually knew, because I've struggled with anxiety for so many years that a lot of it's just internal. Like, I don't even let it, you won't see, it's not very clear that I'm having a panic attack, but I am. So it would happen a lot in lessons, and even though I was there, like I was always physically present in lessons, I wasn't mentally there. Like, when I was revising for my mocks at the end of year 12, when I was revising for psychology, I was looking through this topic, and I just remember flicking the pages and thinking, I don't remember doing this. I don't remember writing this. I don't remember ever learning this. And I sort of realized, like, that's because I wasn't there. Like, mentally I wasn't present when the teachers were talking to us, to the class, to teach us content. I was busy trying to convince myself that I wasn't going to die, or that I was just having a panic attack. This isn't real. And it wasn't the entire year. Like, as I said, there were just peaks where it was at its worst. But there were so many months where this was happening, and this is why I'm so proud of myself for like managing to get predicted A-star AA, because as I said, I just wasn't present mentally in my lessons for some of the year. And yeah, I was just generally very anxious. I was also very scared to leave the house, so I wasn't really doing anything other than going to school, managing to get through the day, getting home, and just trying to do my homework. And I mean, at home I was fine. I wasn't anxious at home. It was just school that was really difficult, and also that I just didn't go anywhere. Like, literally wouldn't even go to the shops. So I think I very much isolated myself, which obviously didn't help either. So yeah, it was... Even looking back at videos on YouTube from that period of time, like, just makes me really sad, because I wasn't doing well and I didn't even realise it. I mean, the gist of it is that I was struggling. I didn't realise I was struggling because I was anxious every single day, so it just became normalised, and I only realised that I was having such a difficult time when I wasn't struggling, and I realised how easy just school can be if you're not anxious. But yeah, I did get through it. I did a lot of self-work this year. I was doing therapy the entire year as well, so I did have help. I also wrote a lot of poetry this year. When I say a lot, I mean like 60 plus poems. In the beginning, it started off as like a coping mechanism, and then it just ended up being something that I really, really enjoyed, and I've sort of discovered that I'm kind of good at. So yeah, I suppose if anything came from this year, like, it's that my love for poetry has been discovered in terms of writing poetry. And I think it's something that I do want to, not necessarily pursue, but I do want to publish my poetry in the future. But yes, things did start to pick up around late April, early May. I started feeling a lot better. I started feeling a lot less anxious, and just a bit more excited for the future. Like, I could see my future, because at one point of the year I couldn't see to the next day because I was so much in my head, if that makes sense. Right now I'm doing really, really well. Like, I haven't been this happy in so long, and it feels so good. And yeah, I haven't been anxious in months. I mean, obviously I have my days, but I am fine. Like, I'm actually okay, and it makes me really happy. But I think the main reason why I wanted to share this is that no matter how bad something is at the time, it's really hard to think things are going to get better, but they do. Things always get better, you know, as long as you have the right mindset and put in the work, things are going to improve. And the fact that I sort of got through that period of time, I'm like, I can do anything. I can take on anything. I feel like I am so much stronger after this year. I'm not going to say I'm glad that this year was so hard, because now I'm stronger and now I have all these coping mechanisms that I didn't have before. Because no, it was horrible and it was so difficult, and I wish I didn't have to go through that, because year 12 would have been so much easier. A-levels would have been so much easier. Maybe I would have even got higher grades. But you can't change the past. I'm not going to say I'm glad it happened, but I am going to grow from it. I am going to take any good thing that came out of it and hold on to it. But that leads on really nicely to how I wanted to end the video. So at the end of year 11, my therapist, we did like an activity, and she asked me to write down all the things that I want to leave behind in that year and the things that I wanted to take forward into the next one. So I thought I'd do that again this year, because I think it's such a nice mindful activity to do, and also I think it's quite a helpful one. So I'm going to get a notebook and create a little table, write a list of the things I want to leave in year 12 and things that I want to take with me to year 13 to make sure that next year is a better year. So I am quickly going to make this list, and I invite you to write one of your own too, because I think it can just be very helpful. Reflecting's always good. Okay, so I have just finished my list and I thought I would share it with you. That is my list. I do invite you to create a list of your own. Reflecting, like self-reflection, I think is so important. Like, I really love doing this kind of thing. I really want to better myself. I think it's just a good thing to do. So yes, that is it for the video. Thank you for sitting with me for however long this video is. Take care of yourselves and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye.